If your paycheck lands somewhere under $35,000 a year, you are standing on the very first rung of the income ladder. And I need you to hear something before anyone else gets in your ear about it. The floor is not where you failed. It is the rung every single person on this ladder started on, including the ones now standing way up at the top. Almost nobody stays down here. The people who do usually stay for one reason. They quietly believed a handful of lies that keep them frozen in place. Today I want to take those lies apart and hand you the exact moves that get your boots off the bottom rung and onto the next one. Here is the plan. First, I will show you where the floor sits on the income ladder, then give you the two honest numbers behind a floor-level salary, the sticker number, and the number that actually hits your account, because the gap between them is bigger and meaner than you think. Then I will hand you 6 unlocks, 6 things that are true down here on the floor that quietly stop being true the moment you start climbing. 1. The floor is a starting rung, not a sentence. 2. You are trading hours for dollars and hours run out. 3. Your first raise is a skill you build, not a gift you wait for. 4. Being broke is secretly expensive. There is a tax on it. 5. One marketable skill beats 10 scattered side hustles. And 6. Down here you build the habit, not the balance. Then I will give you the concrete recipe to climb off the floor toward the median. Let us find your rung. Picture your whole earning life as a tall ladder. Each rung is an income band. The bottom rung, the floor, is under about $35,000 a year, and it puts you in roughly the bottom third of full-time earners. Above you sits the median, then comfortable, then 6 figures, then the top 10%, then the rare air of the top 1% at the very top. Every episode marks which rung you are on right now, and you, on floor-level pay, are on rung 1, boots on the bottom bar, looking straight up the ladder. That is not a bad place to be. It is simply the place the climb begins. Every person higher up passed through this exact rung to get where they are. The floor is not the basement. It is the doorway. Now the 2 numbers, and they always come as a pair. The sticker salary, the gross, the number in the job posting, is around $32,000. That is the number you say out loud. But it is not the number that lands. After payroll taxes come out of every check, your real take-home is closer to $27,000. That is the number that actually shows up in your account. And here is the part that stings. Most of that $27,000 is already spoken for before you touch it. Rent, food, transport, the non-negotiable cost of simply staying alive and getting to work. Once survival takes its cut, the genuinely free money left over is tiny. I call that the survival gap. The floor is not just a small paycheck. It is a small paycheck with almost all of it pre-claimed. Naming that honestly is the first step to escaping it. Unlock 1. The floor is a starting rung, not a sentence. And the number under your feet says almost nothing about where you will end up. The internet loves to treat a low income like a permanent identity, a fixed fact about who you are. It is not. When you actually follow real people over time, something quietly hopeful shows up. Most people who start on the floor do not stay there. Within a few years, the large majority have climbed off the bottom rung entirely. The floor is the rung with the most turnover on the whole ladder. People are constantly stepping up off it. Think about who is standing here with you. A lot of them are young, in their very first jobs, one skill or one promotion away from the next rung. Some are between careers, rebuilding. Almost none of them signed a lifetime lease on this rung. So when a chart or a comment tells you that a floor-level salary is proof of who you are, that you are simply a low earner, full stop, that is the first lie, and it is the one that does the most damage. Because if you believe the rung is a verdict about your worth, you stop reaching for the next one. And the only people who truly get stuck on the floor are the ones who quietly decided the climb was not meant for them. Where you start on this ladder is almost pure circumstance, your age, your first job, your luck. Where you end up is mostly about whether you keep climbing. The floor is a starting line. It was never a sentence. Unlock 2. On the floor, you feel a hard ceiling for the very first time, because you are trading hours for dollars and hours run out. Floor-level work almost always pays by the hour. You show up, the clock runs, and your income is your wage multiplied by the hours you gave up. It feels fair, and it feels controllable. If you need more money, you just work more hours. And at first, that even works. You pick up a shift, you grab a second job, the paycheck gets a little bigger. But here is the ceiling nobody warns you about. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you have to sleep, eat, and live inside some of them. Your time is a bucket with a hard bottom, and you can only pour so much of it into work before there is nothing left to pour. A second job stacks hours on top of hours, but it cannot scale because you personally have to be there for every single one of them. This is the trap of pure wage work in its purest form. Your income is chained one-to-one to your hours, and your hours are the one thing you can never manufacture more of. The person who tries to escape by simply working more is running straight at a wall they cannot see yet, because for a while the extra hours really do pay off, right up until they run out of hours to sell. Feeling that ceiling is not a failure. It is the most important lesson the floor teaches you. You cannot out-hour your way up the ladder. The way up is not more hours. It is making each hour worth more. And that is exactly where the next unlock points. Unlock 3. Your first real raise is a skill you build, not a gift you wait to be handed. There is a quiet lie down here that keeps people stuck for years. The belief that a raise is something that happens to you. That if you just show up, keep your head down, and are patient enough, someone in charge will eventually notice and reward you. And so people wait. And the raise that never comes starts to feel like proof that they are not valued, when really they were just waiting for the wrong thing. Here is the truth that changes everything. On the floor, you do not climb by being noticed. You climb by becoming genuinely worth more. A raise is not a gift someone chooses to give you. It is a price the market pays you once you are demonstrably more valuable than you were before. And the beautiful part is that worth more is something you can actually build on purpose, starting now. It might be a concrete skill. You learn to run the machine nobody else can run. You get the certification that lets you do the higher-paid version of your job. It might be rare reliability. You become the one person who always shows up and can be trusted with more. It might be moving from a role anyone can do to a role that takes training. Every one of those is something you construct with your own effort, not something you sit and hope for. Stop asking, when will they give me a raise? And start asking, what would make me worth a raise? Because the first question leaves your future in someone else's hands, and the second one puts it firmly back in yours. Unlock 4. There is a hidden tax on being broke, and it is one of the cruelest things about the floor. Being poor is literally more expensive than being comfortable. Let me show you how it works, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. When you have no buffer between you and the next bill, every small emergency becomes a crisis. The car breaks down, you do not have the couple $100s to fix it, so it goes on a high-interest card or a payday loan, and now that small repair costs you double by the time you have paid it off. When your account runs to zero, you get hit with overdraft fees and late fees, extra charges you only pay because you did not have the money in the first place. When cash is tight, you cannot buy the bigger, cheaper package, so you buy the small, expensive one over and over, paying more per unit for the exact same thing. Every one of these is the broke tax, and it all points the same brutal direction. The less money you have, the more each dollar costs you. This is the lie that being at the floor is only about earning too little. It is also about the fact that your dollars leak out through fees and penalties and premiums that people one rung up simply never pay. And here is why this matters so much. A huge part of escaping the floor is not just earning more, it is plugging these leaks. Every fee you stop paying, every emergency your buffer absorbs instead of your credit card, is a raise you gave yourself without earning a single extra dollar. Unlock 5. One genuinely marketable skill beats 10 scattered side hustles, every single time. This is the modern trap that eats people alive on the floor. The message everywhere is, hustle, do more, stack the gigs, drive for an app in the morning, sell crafts at night, flip things on the weekend, run a dozen tiny income streams at once. And it feels productive because you are always busy. But go back to Unlock 2 for a second. Every one of those hustles costs you the one thing you cannot make more of, your hours. 10 shallow gigs do not add up to an escape. They just chop your finite time into 10 little pieces and burn it, because none of them on their own is ever worth enough per hour to lift you off the rung. You end up exhausted, spread paper thin, and still on the floor. Now compare that to going deep on one skill that the market actually wants and will pay a real premium for. One in-demand skill compounds. The more you do it, the better you get. The better you get, the more you can charge. The more you charge, the fewer hours you need to sell to earn the same money, which frees up time to get even better, or to rest, or to build the next thing. That is a staircase. 10 side hustles is a hamster wheel. Depth beats spray. It feels counterintuitive because do more things seems safer than bet on one thing. But the person who picks one valuable skill and gets seriously good at it will climb right past the person juggling 10 gigs because they turn their finite hours into something that grows instead of something that just gets divided. Unlock 6, and this one ties the whole rung together. On the floor, you are building the habit, not the balance. Here is where almost everyone gets discouraged and quits. They hear save money. They look at that thin survival gap left after rent and food, and they think, what is even the point? Saving $20 when I need thousands feels pointless. So they save nothing and wait for the mythical day they earn enough to finally start. That day quietly never comes, because the habit was never built. Let me reframe the whole thing. Down here, the amount you save is almost meaningless. $20, a single % of a floor-level paycheck, as a balance it is nothing, and it will not change your life this year. But that was never the point. The point is the habit, the automatic reflex of paying your future self first, however tiny the amount, before the money disappears. That reflex is the real asset you are building on the floor, not the pile, the machine that will one day build the pile. If you can save 1% on $27,000, you will still save when you are on the median and the comfortable rung and beyond, and by then the habit will be pouring real money into your future automatically. This is the exact bridge to the whole Net Worth by Decade series. You are not trying to build a balance right now. You are building the machine that builds the balance. The person who saves a tiny percentage on the floor and keeps that habit alive will end up with vastly more than the person who waits until they earn enough, because for that second person, enough never arrives. Start the habit here while it is small and cheap and let the balance catch up later. So how do you actually climb off the floor and up toward the median? The recipe is concrete, and you can start it this week. First, pick one in-demand skill and go deep. Not 10 hustles. One skill the market genuinely pays a premium for, and you get seriously, unmistakably good at it. That is the lever that moves everything else. Second, stop the broke tax leaks and build a tiny buffer. Even a couple $100 between you and the next emergency stops the overdraft fees, the late fees, and the high-interest debt that quietly bleeds you. Every leak you plug is a raise you gave yourself for free. Third, earn your first raise by becoming measurably more valuable. Bring the certification, the reliability, the new skill, so the raise is a price you have earned, not a favor you are begging for. Fourth, start the savings habit at any percentage at all, however small, because on the floor the habit is the whole point and the number will grow into it later. And fifth, this is the one people miss, aim your next move at a roll on rung 2, not just more hours at rung 1. Do not try to grind your way up by stacking shifts. Point yourself at a genuinely better-paying roll, one rung up, and let your new skill carry you there. Do those 5 things and you will not be on the floor for long, because the floor is the rung almost nobody stays on, and now you know exactly how to leave it. So tell me in the comments, which rung are you standing on right now, and which one are you climbing toward? Wherever your boots are on this ladder, the next skill you build moves you up it. This is education, not financial or career advice, just the map laid out honestly. Next time we climb to rung 2, the median. The rung half the country never leaves, not because they cannot, but because it is just comfortable enough to make you stop climbing. That is the most crowded rung on the whole ladder, and it might be the most dangerous. I will see you there.